Our next group is the Red Band, of course, full band, and they're going to be under the direction of Mr. Patrick Stewart, who's middle school band director and assistant to the high school at Fort Zumwalt North, part of the district, and also Ms. Melinda Hook, very good friend and well-known educator throughout the state and Midwest. She's retired recently from Farmington, Missouri, and now has taken over as music coordinator for the Lynn Harbor School District. So please welcome to the stage the directors of the Red Band. opportunity to travel there. On the way back home, I was on the flight, I was starting to think about some ideas about piece of music, and what really touched me was one of the videos we watched on one of the buses as we made our way throughout the journey on the idea ride, the dedication that not only the drivers, but especially the dogs, just amazed me. So I thought, okay, what can I do to help, think about this and write something special that would be kind of dedicated to those sled dogs. And we fell in love with some pups too while we were on the way, but anyway, we left them there. But anyway, it was fun. The piece, as it starts out, basically you can kind of get the feel of the sled ride going through there, and then the tune is introduced with the trumpet line, the main melody coming through it, mission counterlines going through it, and it comes up to a real neat ending where you hear a little bit of wind. And what struck me on this particular spot was the fact that the dogs, when they get done with their day's race, and the kids were kind of surprised about this, they don't go indoors or go in trailers or anything else. They just throw some straw or hay down on the ground, and the dogs curl up, they eat and curl up and go to sleep. They stay right out there among the elements. And so this is kind of a dedicated part to them, nice little melody and counterline. And then at the end, we kind of go into the final run and to the finish line of the race. One of the things I told the students too, that it's got a little bit of a Western feel to it, kind of that frontier feel, and I asked them if they knew why, and of course a couple of them had an idea of it. The idea was that it's the last frontier that we have here in the North American continent. So there's a little bit of interpretation of idea. final number and also maybe some camper recognitions. I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize a few people as well. We always do this at our final concert, especially with the Red Band. All the Red Band members, and please hold your applause to the end, all the Red Band members who have been at band camp here for 2 years, please stand up. All of you have been here 3 years. Everybody continue standing. Anyone been here for 4 years? Raise your hand. Hey, we got one. Great. All right. Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
So we have some outstanding camp awards we'd like to give this week as well. It's always hard to single out just one or two students. Many, but these students are great role models for this week here at camp and also for, I'm sure, their schools at home. But we had to give a few. So here we go. Our first award goes to a young man, and he is our one and only tenor sax this week. And I don't know if you know much about bands, but we're a little bit shy in the low voices this week. We have a lot of high voices, but not too many low voices. So we've asked this student to play other parts besides the tenor sax part to fill out our tenor voice. He's done a fantastic job. And his name is Miles Rogers. He's the son of Tom and Dina Rogers. And he'll be an 8th grader this coming school year at Fort Zumwalt North Middle School. Miles, come over. I was just talking to the students over in the band room before we came over to be seated to play about something that they can take back to their school with them from camp this week. We talked a lot about how it's important to be consistent in our performances, and that how in a band like this, even though it's a large band, everybody has to do things the same way for it to be effective and be a musical performance. And that's something that we would like these young people to take back to their own schools and help spread the good news among their bandmates. But someone this week who's been doing that, who's been a great silent role model, always been paying attention, horn is up every time, writing things down, and not making a big deal about it. And I noticed her pretty much right off the bat. Her name is Olivia McIntyre. She's the daughter of Steve and Kathy McIntyre, and she'll be starting the 8th grade at Festus Middle School this coming year. She plays the alto sax. Let's hear it for Olivia. So thank you, parents, for sending your children to spend a week with us. We really enjoyed it. Mr. Stewart and I both had a wonderful time working with your students. They were very respectful and polite and took direction really well, so they can't act like that. Just so you know. It's been great. It's been great to work with Mr. Stewart this week. We really enjoy making music with young people, so thank you very much.